Release some video, bro.
That's a good point. All right, on to the NFL. The AFC West is loaded with elite quarterbacks. You got Patrick Mahomes, you got Phillip Rivers, you got Derek Carr. Well, Joe Flacco is in Denver trying to get back to that list, says he's got a lot left in the tank. CC, how good can Flacco be for the Denver Broncos?
John, who picked the quarterback?
John Elway.
Oh, okay. Anytime Elway picking the quarterback, man, I got problems. I believe Denver's defense got the potential to be nasty, but I don't see Joe Flacco playing at a high level. Change of address is not going to change his skill level. Mile high is not going to help Joe Flacco. He's known for throwing the ball deep. They don't have the receiving core to match his skill level. And Flacco is one of those quarterbacks that has not transitioned from being a pitcher to being I can throw short, I can throw sideways. He just has not transitioned in his career.
I understand the best moment of Joe Flacco's career arguably came against the Denver Broncos, I think it was at Mile High, the Jacoby Jones touchdown, or not the Jacoby Jones touchdown, but the touchdown against the Broncos. I think it was Raheem Moore, the safety, who misplayed the ball on their Super Bowl run.
Yes,
but
the Mile High miracle.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, that Joe Flacco does not exist anymore. I don't know if it ever existed outside of that playoff run. All the numbers say since that season, he's been the worst everyday starter in football. That's not going to change in Denver.
All right,
They should stay with your guy, Case.
Yeah, see? I knew that sentence would eventually be uttered. Last season, then Browns head coach Hugh Jackson was fired after starting the season with just 2 wins in their first 8 games. After Hugh was fired, the team won 5 games, and Baker Mayfield took off. Well, yesterday, Hugh was on the herd and was asked if Baker's recent comments bother him. Here's what he had to say.
It doesn't bother me personally because, I mean, again, I've been in the National Football League for a long time, and I've seen a lot of different ways that people have handled things. He has to do what he feels he needed to do, you know, and so that's how he's handled it. Again, everybody's going to handle things differently. That's how he chooses to make sure that he's ready to go, ready to play, or has his team ready to play. And again, the Browns wasn't playing Hugh Jackson. They were playing the Bengals. So at the end of the day, whatever that was for him and their football team on those particular days, it worked. They won the game.
Look, CC, Baker Mayfield is a different cat. He just is than the guys we've seen coming out in the last couple of years. He's brash, he's confident, he's young, he knows he has a lot to learn, but he walks in as if he's already learned a lot of it. Are there any drawbacks to a guy whose style is that when you're going into year 2?
I think when you're trying to have a long career, you can't project out there what you're going to look like when you get 30 and how things are going to sound when you were younger. So, yes, there can be negative from that. But I think that right now in life, it's really, really hard to be true to yourself. And professional sports is very, very difficult. And then, man, there are a lot of successful people out there. But most of the time, people don't make suggestions about other people's lives that are successful. Your brother, successful doctor. People don't call him up. You know something? You know what you should be doing? We got 3 or 4 new procedures. You need to be continuing your education. You know what? They accept his expertise. And Baker Mayfield is one of the rare breeds that we have. There's only 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. 32 of these guys in the world. And Baker is special even in that group. So among special guys, he's even special. But this is his personality. Those who have coached him, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem, just like the quarterback shouldn't look a certain way. He doesn't have to talk a certain way. He doesn't have to be a certain height for me. Now we're seeing with Arizona, with their chance that they're taking. No. In this day and age where you can protect the quarterback, you cannot brutally beat up the quarterback in the NFL. Now he can be any size. With the millennials now in the NFL, he can't have any type of personality. All these new young coaches we have, you think they can't relate to him? Also, one thing we don't know. We don't know what Hugh said to Baker when he was there. We don't know actually how he was coached. Because Baker, I know Baker thought he should have been the starter from the beginning. So when he didn't put him in there, he put Tyrod in there. Did he hold Baker back? And immediately once Baker begins to start, the guy who wouldn't start me, he happens to be on the opposition. Oh, I'm getting ready to knife him. I can understand the personality. That's how you can play a long time in this league. I know Hugh has coached a long time, a little bit as a head coach, and none of that was successful except for drafting Baker, which wasn't his call. That was the general manager's call in Dorsey. So I got a lot of respect for Baker trying to be true to who he is and carve out his own career. Because in sports, it's the only career where you're an expert, but people are always telling you what you should be doing.
And I think we do this isn't just in sports, but I'll use the sports example. I think we do a bad job assuming something that is impossible, which is we can take someone's personality, keep all the good things, and then carve away at some of the things that can be prickly. This was one of my things, whether you agree or disagree, in some of the defenses of Odell. When it's like, okay, we want the excitement, the competitive spirit, the exuberance on the field, but let's carve away some of the mayhem it causes. Baker, I talked to Mina Kimes yesterday. Mina wrote the article that so many of these quotes have come from. She spent a week with Baker Mayfield. You know what she said? Man, his leadership is seductive. Chris Carter spent 10 minutes with him, shook his hand, said he's a different type of cat.
And not strange, just unusually good.
And unusually confident, unusually charismatic. Hugh Jackson said that when he walked into the building, this is a couple of years ago, that he would make that laugh sound or whatever, and then everyone would do it. Everyone that's been around Baker has been very consistent that he has this intangible leadership quality that is unique to him. For people to assume that you can then strip away some of what you could call tribalism, which is you're either with me or against me. Okay, hey, Duke Johnson, even you're on the team, but you're not here. Bleep you. Colin Cowherd, don't like you either. Hugh, you were here. And keep that unique and almost generational leadership. I think that's naive. And so, yeah, I think he will step in some potholes, but I think it's this personality that has allowed a 5-foot or a 6-foot kid that had to walk on at multiple places to have the success that he's had. So you got to take the good with some of the potential bad with this type of person, I believe.
I think you make such a good point. I think if Odell was in a winning culture and a winning team, we wouldn't have seen some of the negative things as much or focused so much on it. But what happens if things go sour? And I happen to like the confidence that Baker has. I love the confidence Odell had. But if they start losing and things go sour, is he looked upon differently? Do you suddenly want a guy like that to maybe not be running around sticking a flag in the center of a field?
Pro sports is about performance. It's about getting it done. That's why they keep a scoreboard, because they want to know at the end who won and who lost. In the NFL, how we measure quarterbacks is based on winning football games. His career will be based on that. Not did he take a shot at someone who was on TV saying something about it. I just do believe this. In this day and age, we got a lot of people that say whatever they want to about athletes. I don't have no problem with the athletes, that being Kyrie, Kevin Durant, Baker Mayfield. If they want to defend what they're doing, I think that they should. I think that there's too many guys that have sat around and taken abuse and everything, internalized all that. If you feel a certain way, if you want to call somebody's TV show, radio show, I believe that you should be able to do that. If people got enough guts to be able to open up their mouth to say something, then people should have enough guts to be able to defend it, and that's what they're doing.
And I just think this applies across past sports. Like this show, someone said to you, Jenna, hey, we love the goofy joke moments that make everyone laugh, but the ones that don't hit, cut those out. You couldn't. Because you get one with the other. Like at times, I get way too bogged down in the numbers. Like, right? Like there's no question about that. It's a weakness. But at times it's like, wow, I had never heard that. Like, there are things that with anyone that brings something in theory elite to the table, there's going to be some baggage associated with it. And so I think that's the reality with Baker. And I think that people need to just take that for what it is.
And this jerk here says, oh, his numbers is elite level. And Jenna, your joke telling's elite level.
Right. Hey, Chris is, I didn't want to bring up things Chris don't do well, so I just leave it alone. He already knows.
You think some of my jokes are goofy?
Well, I just think they don't make any sense.
They don't make sense. My jokes don't make sense.
They're not funny. is the pro.
They're goofy, they don't make sense, and they're not funny?
Yep, yeah. But you're woke.
Man, I'm the worst. I am woke. On to the Packers now. There is no question what impact Aaron Rodgers will have on that offense, and yet it's the other side of the ball that has him excited. Aaron Rodgers says he likes the improvement he's seen on the defensive side of the ball, saying, quote, "It's good to have some new energy." CC, can a new look defense propel Rodgers and the Packers back to Super Bowl contention?
I believe not only the new look defensively, they just have not been good defensively for a long time. A lot of times I'm amazed because people don't look at things and look at the history of things. But when you go back and look at Aaron Rodgers, look at his playoff games, how he played, and how many points the defense gave.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, how well he can play and they still lose the football game.
See, his first playoff game ever, he scored 45 points and they lost. His first game, the first taste of the playoffs against, I think it was Larry Fitzgerald, Kurt Warner, and the Cardinals.
Yep.
So to drop 45 in your first playoff game ever, go home with the loss. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
And for Green Bay for a long time, and even when we played Green Bay, there's a lack of physicality that the Green Bay Packers have had for a long time. Now, they went out when free agency, Reggie White, they went out and bought some physicality with Reggie White, and that brought them a championship. But if you look at the last 10 years, as far as defense, points scored, they have not been in the top 10. If you look at the lack of running game, so you getting ready to try to win a football game where defensively I ain't going to be physical, and I'm not going to run the ball and be physical. That's what Aaron Rodgers has been dealing with. So the people want to criticize Aaron Rodgers. They don't like Aaron Rodgers, don't like his attitude. This is what he's been dealing with. They've got a different defensive coordinator the last couple of years, and now what they've decided is they're getting ready to get big, and they're getting ready to get physical. Same thing New England did when at the end of the season, we're going to run the ball, and we're going to defend and depend on our defense. So that's what they've gotten back to. They've changed their defensive scheme. They've changed their personnel and how the players look. Now, if they can just give Aaron some help on the offensive side, the physicality of running the ball, Green Bay can be that championship team that they were the last time they had a top 10 defense, 2010, last time they won a Super Bowl.
And this is why I can't just be a count the rings guy, even though with quarterbacks, how many Super Bowls you've been to, how many championships do you have? You have the most impact on winning. I get it. Aaron Rodgers' first 4 years as a starter, one of those years he won the Super Bowl. The other 3 years in the playoffs, his team allowed 51, 37, and 45 in their losses. Okay, how about the last 3 playoff losses he's had? You had the game to go to the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, where there's the onside kick, then you can't get the stop in overtime, Russell Wilson game-winning touchdown pass. The next year, Aaron Rodgers completes not 1, 2 Hail Marys on the same drive to force overtime. Yeah. Can't get a stop. They lose in overtime. The next year, conference championship game again, 31-0. A minute into the second half against Atlanta. There's just no resistance from the defense whatsoever. There had to be a feeling of helplessness, which is why Rodgers talked about this week to Chris Sims, I think it was, talked about their additions, talked about the outside linebackers they added, talked about that defensive front. He mentioned second year under Mike Pettin. Like, he knows that division, that weather, all those things that, as great as he is, if the expectation is got to score 40 in January in Lambeau, we're going to be in trouble.
It's why he doesn't trust anyone. He's had to do everything by himself for the last couple of years, so he doesn't buy that anyone else is coming in or trust that anyone's going to help him. But just quickly explain why a good defense could help out a quarterback and could make life easier for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, for one, you're going to get more possessions. They're going to give you more turnovers. You can be on a short field. But what it takes out of the opposition when they know that there's a physical defense, when they know that, you know, we're not going to be able to run up and down, then Aaron becomes more important. You turn the ball over two or three times,
right.
Give Aaron those extra possessions, but the physicality of football, you cannot take tackling and hitting out of football, and now they have the type of defense that can present that physicality.
All right, good stuff. Take a break. Coming up, a little basketball. Can James Harden live up to his championship promise? That is still ahead on First Things First.